You know, not all breaking news is good news, but every so often something happens that you kind of feel the ripple effects of, and I feel like that's exactly what we're going to be talking about on today's episode. What's going on, Browns fans? Welcome into the Browns Report by Chat Sports. My name is Moose, back again one more time to talk about potentially signing Jaire Alexander. Did the Browns just get a gift from the Green Bay Packers? As reported earlier from Jeremy Fowler, the Packers plan to release two-time Pro Bowl corner. It's since happened, so he is no longer with the Cheeseheads. Now, I do have to talk about not only Jaire the player, but also what this could potentially mean for the Browns if they were interested in vying for his services. Now, before I do any of that, I got to clap it up to you guys. You've done an excellent job since I've stepped in. We crossed 47,000 subscribers, which is an unbelievable milestone. Now, I know we celebrate our wins here very briefly, so let's just say we're on to the next one at 48K. We need 958. Let's just chip it away. Shout out to you guys, all the real ones, for sticking around for free and entertaining Browns coverage all year long. All right, let's start by looking at the Browns quarterback depth chart. I wouldn't say it's awful, but I wouldn't say it's great either. Denzel Ward, only really solid player here that I would say no touch. But the other two, expendable. And I wasn't interested at first in Jaire Alexander when I first saw this news story. I started thinking to myself, you know, are the Browns actually interested, or should they be interested in going out and getting a player like Jaire Alexander? And at first I said no, but then I started to think about it. And I was like, could it make sense? And would it be a better addition rather than not signing him or doing anything at all? So let's talk about Jaire the player first before we talk about anything else, right? Because you have to know who you're getting in a football player. Well, the pros are his on-ball instincts are insane. Some of the best in the NFL. He's got great recovery time when he gets beat on routes. So if he gets shot off the line of scrimmage and he has to play catch-up, he is fast enough and athletic enough to catch up with those wide receivers. Maybe not Tyreek Hill, but you get my point. Outside of the very fastest in the NFL, Jaire can cover at an extremely good rate and recover at a really good rate. He's also had great proven success. And I think that doesn't need to be said either. This is a Pro Bowl level talented cornerback when he's fully healthy, which bleeds into the cons. Massive injury concerns. That is probably the biggest red flag out of all of the red flags surrounding Jaire. He is increasingly expensive, and one of the reasons the Packers parted ways with him was because they weren't able to come to an agreement on a contract. And he has some documented attitude issues. I wouldn't say it's the biggest problem, but he has been a very vocal and outspoken player about the things that he's not happy with when it came to the Packers organization. Now, I feel like this graphic tells the story. If you notice the last quote-unquote fully healthy season in 2022, he was awesome. 56 tackles, 14 PBUs, 5 interceptions, elite numbers. But notice the other 3 seasons around him. 4 games played, 7 games played, 7 games played. He can't stay on the field. And he was so up in the air about playing or being available to play that he had $0 guaranteed last year. He was scheduled to make $17.5 million, and none of that was guaranteed. Now, he is still one of the highest paid cornerbacks in the NFL, makes $21 million per year, and I don't see that number going further down, considering the Packers probably started further down and he wouldn't say yes. So is it possible that we're looking at $21 million plus? Absolutely. And I'm going to break down the financial situation for the Cleveland Browns here in just a second. But I feel like it would be a disservice to the episode and to you guys if I didn't hear from you. So make sure you get down in the comment section down below. Let's just throw it out there right now. All cards on the table. Would you sign Jaire Alexander? I'm going to give you my answer a little bit later on in the episode, but I want to hear from you. Let me know in the comment section down below. Does it make sense to sign Jaire? It does. It does make sense, but for the right price. Now, The cornerback room, as it's currently stated, in terms of their on-field production. I know PFF is not the holy Bible. It's not something that we need to look at as the end-all, be-all of NFL analytics. But it does give you a nice blueprint, a nice outline of how a player performed. And I got to be honest with you, outside of Denzel Ward, this is not good. So there should be room for a talented player just like Jaire is. And the Browns secondary has massive holes right now, and he's a sure thing. I look at the way it's currently constructed, and I see Denzel Ward, and I see Martin Emerson, and I see Greg Newsome, and I say the only single one of them that I have full 100% confidence in is Denzel Ward. So from a talent perspective, signing Jaire Alexander sounds like a home run. It sounds like a no-brainer. But does it make sense to sign him based off of the money? Because that's what everything ultimately comes down to, right? Do the Browns have enough in cap space? Does Jaire want to play here for the right price? And do those two merge together to end up putting pen to paper? And currently, okay, it's not enough right now. The Browns currently have $18.1 million in available cap space. And if we take a look one more time at where Jaire is currently stating at his millions per year is paid per year, those numbers don't necessarily correlate. He's making more than the available cap space that you've currently got. But I will tell you this. There's an opportunity where you make opportunities happen. So I look at Greg Newsome right off the bat. Now, you could trade Martin Emerson. Sorry, I apologize. I've got a little bit of a nasal thing going on, so if I sound a little stuffy right now, that's why. If you could trade Martin Emerson, but Newsome is a $13.37 million cap hit in 2025, meaning that if you were to trade Newsome, which you absolutely could get at least some draft capital back, then you would save $13.37 million, which puts you over $30 million per year, which you could go out to sign a Jaire Alexander on a one-year prove-it deal. Now, it's tough. I fully admit that. And is it an ideal situation? Maybe, maybe not. But it can work. It absolutely can work. And if you're looking at players that have shown busted coverages over and over again like Newsome has. I'm not saying he's the worst cornerback in the league, but there are definitely more talented players. And Jaire is a far more talented player. So it is tough, but it can work monetarily speaking. Now, does Jaire want to come here? I don't know. I do know that there are teams interested right now. The Cowboys, the Ravens, the 49ers, the Dolphins, and the Minnesota Vikings. The Cowboys have a bunch of injury concerns as well, so they could use a player just to add as even more depth, even though Jaire's not a depth piece. The Ravens, who were notoriously bad against the pass last year. The 49ers, who have the second most available cap space in the NFL. The Dolphins, who are looking to move on from Jalen Ramsey. And the Vikings, who, let's be clear, could take any player from the Packers and just shove the middle finger right up their face and say, we'll take all of your sloppy seconds and beat you with them. So all five of these these teams have legitimate reason to go out and sign Jaire Alexander. But I'll leave you with this, my final thoughts. For the Browns specifically, because this isn't the Vikings Now channel. This is the Browns Report. Roll the dice. Why not? We have talked ad nauseum on this channel about the defense being the best attribute, the best unit on this Browns team in 2025. The defensive line in particular. The secondary still has some holes. The offense is a big question mark. So why not try and roll the dice on a player that could give you a Pro Bowl season? Because if you have Denzel Ward and you've got Jaire Alexander, Producer Joe, if you want to throw up that cornerback depth chart one more time for me. If you have those two on the opposite ends of each other and Jaire is able to stay healthy, you're knocking that shit out of the park. That's unbelievable. That is two stud players on the outsides. And if you were to trade Newsome, why not try Emerson in the slot? Just test it out, see how it goes. I feel like there are definite and different answers and different strategies that the Browns could implement here in order to obtain a player like Jaire Alexander. But that doesn't necessarily mean they want to or that Jaire wants to come here. All of this, of course, is just speculation. So I'll leave you with this. If you haven't already, for all Browns rumors, news, off-season, in-season, anything related to the Cleveland Browns, make sure you hit subscribe. It's completely free, doesn't cost you a dime, and we'll be here every single day breaking it down. Until next time, Browns fans, remember to like the video, subscribe, send this to a Browns fan, and as always, be cool.